Part 100. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 991. Zuyun's guess was correct. The old man was at the bottom of the poison dragon pond, frantically refining his qi to restore his body to its peak state. At the same time, he also wanted to make his soul more stable. In the Baymortal realm, he had all his spiritual power, but when he used it, it was like hitting cotton, and he couldn't use it at all. He is almost indistinguishable from these nascent soul stages. At most, it just has more spiritual power. But the power was weakened by the way of heaven, and it was less than 1 in 10. But refining qi will take more than 10 times the time. This made him even more suffocated. Just wait, I will kill all the creatures in this world by then. At the same time, in the northern icefield in the spiritual world, the anxious state of the dragon demon emperor and Yayuan was also broken. The one who broke this balance was Sun Qiniang. After the master of the Zhang Dao failed to seize the body, his soul was scattered. At the same time, the spiritual power of the Zhang Dao was dissolved by the heavenly Dao and turned into the purest spiritual power, which was absorbed by Sun Qiniang. If it is ordinary spiritual power, it may have corresponding attributes. Although Sun Qiniang has a golden spiritual root, she practices swordsmanship and does not have that much spiritual power requirement. Moreover, she was determined and had always wanted to break through and surpass Zuyun. She immediately discovered that these spiritual powers were of great use to her. Furthermore, Sun Qiniang was transformed from a sword embryo by the thunder immortal hammer and returned to the human body. Although it was painful, it shaped her body invisibly. So, she absorbed as much of these dirty spiritual powers as possible for her own use. Although these dirty spiritual powers were extremely mysterious and kept impacting her body, Sun Qiniang was able to endure them. Finally, under the impact of this powerful spiritual power, Sun Qiniang broke through without any surprise. Nascent Soul Stage. Nascent Soul Sword Cultivator. The true unity of man and sword. But after getting up, Sun Qiniang looked at the wind and thunder sword beside her. Although I have condensed into a nascent soul, I am still a nascent soul. Even if I am invincible in the same realm, I cannot get involved in the fight between Xianxia and the dragon demon emperor. Then, the only way is to refine this sword into a natal spiritual sword, maybe it can achieve miraculous effects. Sun Qiniang's eyes flashed, she bit her fingertips, and then dripped blood onto the wind and thunder sword. Boom! Under the guidance of Feng and He, Fenglai sword once tried to refine Sun Qiniang's soul and turn her original sword body into his secondary sword. But just like the master of the Zhang Dao who seized the body of Sun Qiniang, it is impossible to achieve it due to the limitations of the heaven. After Yayuan intervened, the remaining soul left in the sword body was wiped away, so the wind and thunder sword spirit at this time was basically in a damaged state. Sun Qiniang, on the other hand, turned away from the guest and was refining it. She had essence and blood, sword techniques, refining methods, and the body of the sword. Due to various factors, in just an hour, Sun Qiniang refined the wind and thunder sword into her own natal spiritual sword. You are in the nascent soul stage and you are not worthy of being my commander at all. The wind and thunder sword roared in Sun Qiniang's purple mansion. Sun Qiniang sneered disdainfully, how about I ask Xianxia if I am worthy? Suddenly, Fenglai sword spirit was speechless. If you don't surrender, I can naturally put you back, but you will become a death sword, and I can naturally use it. This kind of spiritual sword is not weaker than ordinary people in terms of spiritual intelligence. So I am even more afraid of death. Immediately, he remembered the remnant of his soul, which was easily erased by Yayuan. I surrender. Fenglai sword spirit put down his arrogance. At this point, the Fenglai sword truly belongs to Sun Qiniang. Very good, Sun Qiniang smiled slightly, follow me, you won't regret it. After that, She withdrew her mind and ran outside the cave. She saw a giant dragon crawling in the ice field, its whole body covered with thick snow. He opened his mouth slightly, and through the cracks between his teeth, Ye Yuan's legs could be faintly seen. "Senior Ye, I'm here." Sun Qinyang gave a sweet shout, not afraid that this was a battle during the tribulation period, and directly rose out of thin air. The young nascent soul suddenly opened its eyes in the body, and all the spiritual power poured into the Wind and Thunder Sword at this moment. Wind and Thunder Sword, whether it's life or death, it depends on how much skill you can bring out. Sun Qinyang jumped into the air, and the Wind and Thunder Sword flashed through the lightning and roared into the air. The Dragon Demon Emperor suddenly glared in this direction, and all his endless dragon power followed his eyes towards Sun Qinyang. But how did he know that Sun Qinyang was not an ordinary nascent soul stage at all? And the Wind and Thunder Sword has been tempered by the blood of a true dragon. Wherever the sword tip reaches, the dragon's power breaks through. Even, in the thunder light, there was a faint sound of dragon roar. The Dragon Demon Emperor was shocked and wanted to retreat in a hurry, but who would have thought that Ye Yuan also suddenly moved at this moment. His hands and feet exerted force almost at the same time, and he felt countless lightning flashes coming from his mouth, making him speechless. Numb. Not good. The Dragon Demon Emperor was horrified, and with a flick of his demon consciousness, he actually took out the Chaos Sword from his ring and faced the Wind and Thunder Sword. With all his strength, he could only deal with Ye Yuan. Although Sun Qinyang's sword could not kill him, it could hurt him, allowing Ye Yuan to find an opportunity to take advantage of him. But the Dragon Demon Emperor didn't know at all that Sun Qinyang recognized the Chaos Sword. Chaos Sword even recognizes Sun Qinyang. Seeing the Chaos Sword coming through the air and about to hit Sun Qinyang, the Dragon Demon Emperor gathered his concentration and started to suppress Ye Yuanzi, but the Chaos Sword and Sun Qinyang stopped at the same time. Speechless. This weird scene made Ye Yuan and Sun Qinyang stop almost at the same time. The Dragon Demon King was stunned. But Sun Qinyang laughed and took the Chaos Sword with her back hand. She held one sword in each hand and stabbed the Dragon Demon King with both swords like a sword that soared through the sky. Damn it, how did this void sword run away with a Yuanying ant? The Dragon Demon King was shocked and lost his mind. But he reacted very quickly and immediately spit out Ye Yuan and turned around to swim away. But the extremely cold land of the North Icefield was covered with snow for a long time. At the same time, Ye Yuan didn't want the Dragon Demon King to escape. As soon as he was spit out, he immediately took out the Thunder Fairy Hammer and smashed it through the air. A powerful force shook the sky and the Dragon Demon King's body stagnated again. With his huge body, no matter how he dodged, he might be hit by Sun Qinyang's sword. In a flash, he immediately transformed into a human, stretched out his hand and punched Sun Qinyang. This punch, even before it completely transformed into a human form, was still in the form of a dragon claw. Bang! A punch hit Sun Qinyang's body. Puff! No matter how strong Sun Qinyang's sword power was, she couldn't resist it. A mouthful of blood spurted out immediately, and at the same time, the Chaos Sword and the Wind and Thunder Sword also flew out of her hand. The Wind and Thunder Sword fell far away on the snow field, but the Chaos Sword was still going. Swish! A sound of breaking through the air came, and the Chaos Sword hit the dragon claw. With a click, something seemed to shatter. Girl! On the other side, Ye Yuan saw that Sun Qinyang's vitality was fading rapidly, so he had no time to attack the Dragon Demon King again. He immediately teleported and caught Sun Qinyang, and quickly transferred his spiritual power to stabilize her life. Although he saved Sun Qinyang's life, just now, Sun Qinyang's sword rescued him, which was tantamount to repaying her life-saving grace. The most important thing is that Sun Qinyang is only in the nascent soul stage. As a grateful cultivator, Ye Yuan couldn't bear to see her die. As for the Dragon Demon King, the heaven beyond heaven is right there, I can just kill him. The dragon demon king ran away. But where he stood before, many colorful beads appeared. "Girl, don't be afraid, Yayuan, will save you." Yayuan didn't have time to return to the cave, and quickly landed on the ground. He didn't have time to look at the beads, and directly condensed his spiritual power to separate the cold air of the ice field, and then put Sun Qiniang on the ground. He didn't even look at the Chaos Sword or the Wind and Thunder Sword. But Yayuan found that once he stopped transferring spiritual power, Sun Qiniang's vitality would quickly fade. That was a punch from the tribulation period. If I hadn't trained Sun Qiniang 1,000 times, I'm afraid that punch would have turned Sun Qiniang into a stream of blood foam. "Girl, don't worry, I'll save you, I'll save you." Yayuan was in a panic. At the moment, he had no other way except to transfer spiritual power. And even if his spiritual power is huge, there will always be a time when it will run out. At that time, Sun Qiniang will still die. Just when Yayuan was at a loss. In the distance, 7 orange-red beads rolled together, and suddenly rolled towards Sun Qiniang. Hearing the strange sound, Yayuan subconsciously looked over, and his pupils shrank suddenly. Phoenix beads. 7 phoenix beads. This must be the 7 phoenix beads that my father mentioned. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 992. Girl, can you still talk? Yayuan never took the 7 phoenix pearl directly. Because he has no experience in this area, if he uses this to save Sun Qiniang, he is not sure that he can save Sun Qiniang. Can. In fact, Sun Qiniang had been accumulating strength. She originally wanted to confess her last words and tell Yayuan that the Chaos Sword belonged to Zuyun, so that Yayuan would have the opportunity to find Zuyun and give the sword to Zuyun. She didn't know that Zuyun had also arrived in the spirit world. "Girl, I can save you, but the risk is a bit high. However, after rescuing you, your future achievements will be limitless. Do you agree?" Using the 7 phoenix beads, Yayuan is 50% sure. But no, Yayuan was not sure. "Senior Ye saved my life, everything is up to Senior Ye." After Sun Qiniang said this, almost all the strength in her body was exhausted, and she closed her eyes tightly. "Well." Yayuan's eyes were wet unconsciously, and he said, "From now on, don't call me Senior Ye, call me Brother Yuan. From now on, you will be my biological sister." Sun Qiniang could no longer make any sound. She could only open her mouth, but she didn't know what she said. Yayuan couldn't care so much. With one hand, he channeled spiritual power into Sun Qiniang. With the other hand, he took the 7 phoenix pearls from the air and pressed them into Sun Qiniang's belly one after another. Sun Qiniang's body seemed to be fine, but that was because she was shaped by the Thunder Immortal Hammer and her body was extremely powerful. Moreover, the Dragon Demon Emperor's hasty attack was unable to damage her body at all. But the power of that punch surged into her body. How could Sun Qiniang be able to withstand it? At this time, her internal organs were all broken into pieces and mixed together, as was the nascent soul in her Danshan. This is the fatal part. "Seventh sister, just wait, Brother Yuan will save you." Yayuan concentrated his mind and used his soul to control the 7 phoenix beads. The first one was placed in Sun Qiniang's Danshan and fell into the original position of nascent soul. Then control the 5 phoenix beads and place them on the internal organs. As for the last phoenix bead, Yayuan allowed it to travel to the purple mansion. The 7 phoenix beads were accurately placed, and the sound of phoenixes was heard all of a sudden. Chiang! 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 Seventh sister, the most critical step. When these phoenix sounds come together, it will depend on your luck. Yayuan was sweating profusely at this time. The 7 phoenix pearl is the treasure of the fairy world. Although, when you reach the lower realm, you will also be weakened by the power of heaven, but you are still a fairy after all. If Ye Yuan hadn't practiced immortal thunder and received the guidance of Ye Yong and Xiu Linjian, he probably wouldn't have been able to save Sun Qiniang's life with the 7 phoenix beads. But for Sun Qiniang, it was endless pain. Phoenix is phoenix. Male phoenix and female phoenix. If it were Kifengju who appeared here, he might not be able to save Sun Qiniang. Phoenix belongs to fire. The 7 phoenix beads were constantly burning Sun Qiniang's body from the inside out. But at this time, the advantages tempered by Ye Yuan's Thunder Immortal Hammer were also brought into play. The phoenix fire can't break through the body's difficulties no matter what. Ye Yuan found that his body was extremely hot, and a flash of lightning suddenly flashed in his mind. With such a hot body, is it still afraid of the cold? It just so happened that there was an extremely cold ice field to cool her down. Immediately, Ye Yuan removed his spiritual power restriction, and suddenly the extremely cold air rushed towards Sun Qiniang's body, constantly helping her body cool down. Seeing that Sun Qiniang's expression seemed to be relieved, Ye Yuan breathed a sigh of relief for no reason. 7th sister, if you can endure the last hurdle, your path to immortality will be clear to the end. The land of 9 netherworlds. Xiu'er, Mengwei, Dego, and Ergo were already approaching the depths. Although they had some hardships along the way, they were rewarded. They cooperated seamlessly and their strength gradually increased, especially Ergo, who was already on the verge of a breakthrough. As long as there is a little more opportunity, maybe we can have a baby directly in Juyu land. In addition to him, the same is true for Xiu'er. Xiu'er has already reached the peak of the late stage of pill formation, but she has not been too diligent in this aspect of cultivation. But after traveling with Ergu, he was also deeply infected, and made an appointment with these 3 people. After they all reached the nascent soul stage, they met together in the spirit world. They don't know that the spiritual channel in the Peepa realm does not have many requirements for the path of cultivation. Whether it is the righteous path, the demonic path, or the demon cultivator, you can enter it and reach the spiritual world. Ergu, I think I'm going to have a baby soon. How do you feel now? Xiu'er walked up to Ergu and asked expectantly. Me too. Ergu opened his eyes. They had just experienced a big battle. Mengwei was just skimming the formation on the side and did not take any action. He also had some feelings and came out of this state. Then Xiu'er came. That's great, so we can pass through the 9 Netherlands together. Xiu'er was extremely excited and said, Wei and Daegu passed through Peepa realm, we can only pass through this Juyu land. Ergu thought for a while and said, before we came, we told Senior Luo that we would not enter the Juyu land for the time being. I think that if we want to leave, it would be better to go back and tell her. Xiu'er looked embarrassed and said, if I tell you, Senior Sister Luo will definitely tell Elder Yu, and Elder Yu will definitely tell my father. My father may not necessarily trust me to go there. Isn't there still me? Ergu is strange. You don't understand, Xiu'er shook her head and said, even if my father lets me go, he will definitely send the rest of the Yuan Yinki in the sect to go to the spirit world with me. In this way, I will have someone to take care of me on the way. Do you want them to follow? At this time, the big dog also came over and asked. Of course I don't like it. Xiu'er looked at the 3 of them with some envy and said, look, how comfortable you are, unlike me. Although I have some status and am free in this mortal world, after all, I feel like I am imprisoned. Zionio, let me tell you, let's not go back at all. While the 9 Netherland is still open, if we can break through the nascent soul stage before it closes, we can go there together, so that we can have care on the way. What do you think? Ergu didn't make the decision, but looked at Mengwei. Mengwei said, Uncle Xiu'er, we can leave directly without fear of master's blame, but you also said that your status is different. If you follow us, I'm afraid it will be difficult for my master to explain. Furthermore, we are going to Peeper Realm and have to pass through Yoluo City, so we must inform master. Xiu suddenly felt a little disappointed. It could be said that this was her best chance to go to the spirit world. Since the entire eastern mortal realm has been unimpeded and people can travel freely between different realms, there has been peace and less fighting. Relatively speaking, there are fewer opportunities for some monks to experience through combat. Although the original situation was a bit cruel, all those who emerged from it were extremely talented people. So Xiu wanted to work hard at this time, but even if she reaches the nascent soul stage, her progress may be very slow, so she came up with the idea of secretly going to the spirit world. Then, let me think about it again. Xiu is equivalent to the three people in Yokkaiu. She also knows that Big Dog and Ergu have Menguia as their backbone. On the surface, they agreed to Menguia, but in their hearts, they had already thought about it. She secretly followed Ergu and waited for Ergu to go. When he was deep in the Nine Netherlands, he followed up. When the time comes, it's done, and even if he thinks about it, he won't refuse. Xiu made up her mind. Menguia and the others didn't know what she was thinking. After resting for a while, they continued to wander around. As long as they encounter monsters, especially those that rush out from the depths of the Nine Netherlands, they will rush to kill them. Of course, if they encounter some rare elixirs, they will still collect them. Finally, almost at the same moment, something strange suddenly appeared on Xiu and Ergu. We're about to break through. Xiu was overjoyed and quickly found an ancient tree to sit down. Me too, me too. The two dogs are even more crazy. His realm could be said to be the lowest, but that's okay. The key is that the Yoluo demonic skill he practiced was completely tailor-made for women, but it was cultivated by him. Now, I suddenly felt the changes in the magic pill in my body. How could I not know that a breakthrough was about to happen? Menguia and Big Dog looked at each other and retreated to both sides. One holds a sword, the other has fire in his hand. They want to protect Xiu and Ergu. When the breakthrough is successful, they can leave for the spirit world. By then, I hope I can give Zuyun a big surprise. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 993. At this time, Fanyang Realm. Lu Ruyan took the lead, Zuyun followed behind, and the demon cultivators kept moving forward for more than 50 miles. Zhao Kamang did not follow him in the end. He told Zuyun the truth, saying that he would go to the spirit world to find Zuyun after he reached the realm of the demon saint. Zuyun did not force him to stay, but told him that there was a spiritual channel belonging to the sea monster at the bottom of the sea, and he could pass through it. Of course, since he came from a whirlpool in the spiritual world, it is also possible that there are other whirlpools in the northern mortal world that lead back to the spiritual world. Zhao Kamang can try it himself. Zuyun also said that if he had the opportunity to return to the East mortal realm, he must go to the Lingjian sect to see it. If possible, he could help the people of the Lingjian sect and tell him about his experiences in the spiritual world, so that they practice well. Zhao Kamang readily agreed, and then under Zuyun's guidance, he headed west along the coastline and entered the sea far away from the poison dragon pond. Zuyun, have you planned how to tell my father? On that island, Lu Ruyan also recovered her spiritual power. The reason why Lu Yunzhou was not used was actually because of Zuyun's request. They wanted to enter Liukan quietly first and let a group of demon lords wait outside the city. Although Lu Yunzhou didn't make much movement, many elders would definitely sense it. Just tell it like it is. Zuyun smiled lightly, and then said, however, you still have to help me hide the news that I came from the spirit world. Lu Ruyan was stunned. Why? If you said you came from the spirit world, wouldn't it be more convincing? Zuyun shook his head and said, then what if someone has evil intentions? They think that I am carrying a treasure from the spiritual world. If they attack in groups, I will not be able to deal with it. It is true that these demons will stand beside me. But if the strong men of the two realms fight again, wouldn't it violate our original intention? Lu Ruyan immediately understood what Zuyun meant, and no wonder, he said to find Lu Liangpeng first. Perhaps, you can convince him with your own identity first, and then let Lu Liangpeng deal with it, and gradually make the other elders accept it. This is more tactful than meeting directly. At the same time, with me here, I believe my father can be more restrained. Only. Lu Ruyan was torn in her heart, whether or not to tell Lu Liangpeng that Ye Yuan was also a monk in the spiritual world. She only had no choice but to return to the northern mortal world to pick her up. Along the way, Zuyun also told him about the situation in the entire lower realm. She couldn't help but be amazed when she learned that there were actually 4 in the mortal realm. And they belong to the Bifan realm. Zuyun himself said that they are from the Dongfan realm and came to the Bifan realm because of Ye Yuan. Although Zuyun didn't say it explicitly, Lu Ruyan also guessed that Ye Yuan's strength might be stronger than Zuyun's. But in the mortal world, the strength is probably very different. At that time, the competition is about who has more means. I will also wait outside Liukan later, but before that, I will set up the formation to prevent changes. Do you have a suitable place? This is your territory, you should be familiar with it. Lu Ruyan said directly, let's take the willow forest in the south of the city. I planted those willow trees myself, and ordinary people won't go there. That's very good. I'll do as you say. Zuyun nodded, and the two stopped chatting and walked all the way outside Liukan. After arriving at Liyulan, Lu Ruyan and Zuyun separated and entered Liukan, while Zuyun returned and found the demon kings. Fellow Taoists, Zuyun said politely, I will ask Elder Yan to invite the leader of the Lu Yun sect and Lu Liangpeng to come out for talks later. If Lu Liangpeng has any conflict with his words, I hope you will exercise some restraint. Of course I won't have to wait. I wish you all the best for your trouble. Zuyun smiled and nodded, and then outside the willow forest, in front of everyone, he set up a 9-turn 9-yang formation. After opening the gate of the formation, he let all the demons hide in it. This move was not only to prevent the nascent soul stagers in Liukan from discovering it, but also to prevent the old man from suddenly coming. If he really comes now, then Zuyunhui will come to catch the turtle in the jar without any politeness. In the world of the universe, there are no limitations of heaven, and I am just an ant in front of the Mahayana stage. But in this northern mortal realm, even if you are a Zhangdao venerable, when the period of transcending tribulation comes, the dragon is about to take over, and the tiger is about to lie down. After settling the demon lords, Zuyun set up a star-moving formation nearby. Taking advantage of some time, he entered the immortal mansion and picked up the Tian talisman. Brother, are you there? Zuyun used the void-breaking spiritual eye technique. According to the ancestor of the Lin family, this was a modified divine eye technique, with the purpose of allowing future generations in the lower world to practice it. Coming, brother. As the two characters of Tianfu were twisted and turned into a brush, Zuyun appeared in the void again. Brother, please write a few more broken words and show me. He still understood the principle of biting off more than he could chew. He only had such a small amount of time, so instead of learning other characters, he might as well consolidate the broken characters with the ancestor of the Lin family. When time is enough, he will learn other words. Okay, just keep an eye on it. The ancestor of the Lin family smiled heartily, and a mountain exactly like before appeared in the void. Similarly, this mountain also comes from the depths of the void. Zuyun was surprised and said, Brother, How can this mountain be the same as before? Brother, this is what Purgatory Mountain looks like. Brother, I won't dream up a mountain out of thin air, so naturally I will use Purgatory Mountain to demonstrate to you. Is this Purgatory Mountain? Zuyun originally thought that Purgatory Mountain was just a place name. After all, it was where the evil immortals were imprisoned, but he did not expect that it was actually a mountain. It is unimaginable that there is such a floating mountain in the fairy world. It's the same as heaven and earth. Zuyun was shocked. Could it be that Tianweishan is also related to the fairy world? Brother, please keep an eye on it. The shadow of Purgatory Mountain flew very quickly, and the words of the ancestor of the Lin family rang out instantly, interrupting Zuyun's thoughts. He looked up and saw the ancestor of the Lin family pointing the tip of his pen at the mountain and starting to draw. Knowing Zuyun's purpose of coming here, the ancestor of the Lin family also deliberately slowed down. Not only did he paint, he also explained to Zuyun stroke by stroke, where to pick up the brush, where to put the brush away, and where to continue the strokes. For a whole hour, the ancestor of the Lin family kept going back and forth, drawing broken characters over and over again. Every time, Zuyun has gained something. It wasn't until he felt that time was almost up that Zuyun asked the ancestor of the Lin family to stop. After secretly drawing a few times in his mind, Zuyun felt that it was almost done, and then said, "By the way, brother, I have another question. Why did you hide in this yellow star and arrange it in several mortal realms, tribe, as a guide to the spiritual world? This is a long story. If you are free one day, sit down and I will tell you slowly." But what? But if I tell you, you will help me take revenge. Revenge? Zuyun frowned. The ancestor of the Lin family told him that it was the evil immortal who hurt him, but he did not say which evil immortal it was or what its name was. Yes, revenge, the ancestor of the Lin family sighed and said, "I told you, I left a lot of escape routes in the fairy world. In fact, I had no choice but to choose this yellow star in the end. Because I was seriously injured. At that time, I was not far from Xianxia, and then I hid in Xianxia. However, there were still many world stars around Xianxia, and there were also many heavenly, earthly, and mysterious level ones. I came to Xianxia. Moreover, I left descendants in the four mortal realms and left them with ancestral teachings. After hiding my immortal soul in Tianfu, I divided this book into two and left it to them. In the East mortal realm. Under this situation, even if the evil immortal comes here, he will definitely go to the spiritual world to look for it instead of going to the mortal world. This is why I let all descendants stay at the passage of the spiritual world. The reason is that the so-called guide is just a trick. Without a guide, you can still go to the spirit world, but it will be slightly more difficult." After hearing this explanation, Zuyun immediately understood what the ancestor of the Lin family was thinking at that time. He couldn't control other immortal queens, but it couldn't be easier for his own descendants. By leaving behind the ancestral teachings and giving him a reasonable reason to stay, the ancestors of the Lin family can naturally survive and then look for opportunities to resurrect and return to the fairy world. However, the ancestor of the Lin family has not talked about returning to the immortal world until now. Maybe, it's not the time yet? Brother, I understand, I have something else to do right now, let's talk about it later. After saying that, he handed over his hand to the brush, and then left the Tianfu space. After placing the sky talisman back on the stone shelf, Zuyun walked to the edge of the medicine garden and picked some single attribute elixirs that had been planted here before leaving the immortal mansion and returning to Lu. In the forest. Suddenly, Lu Ruyan arrived here with Lu Liangpeng. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 994. With a thought in his mind, Zuyun opened the formation gate. The moment he saw Zuyun, Lu Liangpeng was slightly startled, why are you here? Ha ha ha, sect leader Lu, you're out of sight. Zhu Yun closed the formation door, then stretched out his finger and drew a magic talisman in front of Lu Liangpeng. Change the world. In an instant, Zhu Yun turned into Yezi. It's you. Lu Liangpeng was shocked. If Lu Ruyan hadn't learned about Zhu Yun's ability to change his appearance on the way here, his reaction would not have been worse than Lu Liangpeng's. Before Lu Liangpeng came to his senses, Zhu Yun removed the heaven-changing talisman and drew another one. This time, he painted it as a blessing. It's all you. After all, Lu Liangpeng was the leader of a section. After seeing Zhu Yun's magical methods, his second reaction was not so intense. You have changed your appearance like this, do you want to sneak into Liu Yun sect and give us elixirs? My fellow Taoists should not be short of spiritual stones, right? Lu Liangpeng was quite honest and joked with Zhu Yun with a wry smile. With this kind of ability, if you lack spiritual stones and draw this spiritual talisman on paper, I'm afraid there will be a lot of people taking spiritual stones in exchange. There is no shortage of spiritual stones, but at first I wanted to take Elder Yan away. Hearing this, Lu Liangpeng couldn't help frowning and turned to look at his daughter. Yan, you said you brought me here because of business, so you just want to leave with this fellow Taoist. Before Lu Ruyan could speak, Lu Liangpeng himself shook his head and said, impossible, I know your temper. Could it be that he knows the news about Ye Yuan? Lu Ruyan's face turned red and said, Dad, Zhu Yun does know where Ye Yuan is, but he didn't come here because of Ye Yuan's business. Humph, Lu Liangpeng snorted coldly and said, Ye Yuan Ruo wants to find you, why doesn't he come in person? If even I, Lu Yunzong, are afraid, how can he have the qualifications to marry my Lu Liangpeng's daughter as a Taoist companion? Wait, you say, it's not about Ye Yuan. After half a sentence, Lu Liangpeng realized what he was saying. After being shocked, he asked Zhu Yun, friend Zhu, right? You tried your best to sneak into the Lu Yun sect, and now you let Yan'er deceive the leader of the section. What happened? Zhu Yun laughed and said, Sect Master Lu, Zhu will tell you straight to the point. The spiritual world passage in the Fanyang realm should be the passage for all races. Lu Liangpeng was not stupid. When he heard this, his expression suddenly changed and he said in a deep voice, Zhu Daiyu is from the Demon Sea realm. No, you don't have the aura of the Demon Dao in you. Then, why do you stand up for the Demon Sea realm? No. Zhu Yun chuckled lightly and said, I am neither from the Fanyang realm nor from the Demon Sea realm. To be precise, I come from the spirit world. As soon as these words came out, Lu Liangpeng was shocked. Impossible. Although I have never been to the spirit world, I also know that the spiritual power in the spirit world is rich, and it is faster to advance through cultivation. And when you return to the mortal world, your strength is limited. If you have evil intentions in the nascent soul stage, you can still hurt. I got you. Even if you are a god or a powerful person, you are no different from nascent soul. Seeing Lu Liangpeng's reaction, Zhu Yun disapproved and asked instead, then Sect Master Lu, does he have any evil intentions? Humph, Lu Liangpeng looked embarrassed and said, I have no grudges against you, so why should I have any evil intentions? I, Lu Liangpeng, walk upright and sit upright, otherwise how could I be in charge of Lu Yun sect? I wish you fellow Taoist, I don't care what level you are. But in this mortal world, I will not be afraid of you. Whether you want to take Yan'er away or become a lobbyist in the Demon Sea realm, it is absolutely impossible. Zhu Yun said calmly, what if I can provide you with the infant training pill? Neither the infant training pill. No matter what, we can just practice it ourselves. Lu Liangpeng said with integrity. Then, Zhu Yun smiled half-heartedly, with a playful look in his eyes, then, what if the Lin family leads the way? Don't try to trick me. The Lin family has been exterminated by the Demon Sea realm a long time ago. They just don't want to see us well. That's wrong. Zuyun looked at Lu Ruyan and said, Elder Yan, why don't you talk to Sect Master Lu? Lu Liangpeng immediately looked at Lu Ruyan. I saw Lu Ruyan's red lips slightly parted and said, Dad, there are descendants of the Lin family in the Demon Sea realm. According to them, the descendants of the Lin family were not killed by them. In fact, the island owner of Demon West Island even protected him. Those descendants of the Lin family. Why, the demon lords in the Demon Sea realm also promised you benefits. Demon cultivators, they are cultivating the devil's way, they are cultivating the evil path, you can't believe it. Zuyun immediately retorted, saying, So Master Lu, those who practice the righteous way are righteous people. Why not? Lu Liangpan's chest straightened up, he looked directly into Zuyun's eyes and said loudly. Okay, Zuyun clapped his hands and said with a smile, Lu Ruyang is also the elder of your Lu Yun sect, so why, does he want to kill Lu Ruyan instead? This is impossible. Although they are not biological brothers and sisters, they are still connected by blood. Yang Er is Yan Chang's cousin, and they have grown up and practiced together since they were young, for thousands of years. Dad, this time, you are wrong. When we were in the Poison Dragon Pond, senior brother Yang really wanted to push me into the Poison Dragon Pond. If someone hadn't rescued me, I'm afraid you wouldn't even be able to see me now. Compared to Lu Ruyang, Lu Liangpan believed in his daughter more. He opened his eyes with disbelief on his face. He dares to kill you. Yes, he did it. Lu Ruyan nodded firmly. Lu Liangpeng still had doubts, so he lowered his voice, but his eyes slanted towards Zuyun. Did he use this mysterious talisman to transform Yang Er, and then use the dirty water? Dad. Lu Ruyan interrupted Lu Liangpeng rudely and said angrily, Anyway, do you believe me or not? I believe, of course I do. But this person has an unknown origin and can change his appearance. I'm afraid you will be deceived. He came from the spirit world, what can he deceive me? Lu Ruyan looked at Lu Liangpeng unhappily, with a little more impoliteness in her expression. Lu Liangpeng is good at everything, but sometimes his ideas are too old-fashioned. Wait, the spirit world, he said he would take you to find Ye Yuan, is Ye Yuan also in the spirit world? Lu Liangpeng finally reacted, Lu Ruyan blushed and nodded. Alas. With a sigh, Lu Liangpeng said, if I can go to the spirit world and find Ye Yuan, that would be great, but I don't understand why he is lobbying for the demon cultivators in the Demon Sea realm. After that, he raised his head again and looked at Zuyun, who was full of amusement, and said, Fellow Daoist Zhu, what benefits did the people in the Demon Sea realm give you that you want to speak for them? What benefits can they give me? Zuyun asked back, and before Lu Liangpeng could speak, he continued, the righteous path, the demon path, and even the 3,000 great paths, all have the same destination. The only problem is, what is your original intention, what is your Dao heart? You all want to cultivate immortality, but you have put all your heart on it over the years. Above hatred. There is a saying among mortals, when will the revenge end? I just came back from the Demon Sea realm, and I also experienced the state of mind of the cultivators in the Demon Sea realm. There was a demon cultivator in the Qi refining stage, who thought he had implicated me, and came to save me at the risk of his life, but ended up with half of his body destroyed. Of course, I am not saying that all demon cultivators are like this, but at least, among the cultivators of low realms, among the cultivators who have never walked out of the Demon Sea realm, they are like this in their hearts. But I can't guarantee that after they have cultivated to a higher realm and experienced more, they will hate you in the Fanyang realm. These words made Lu Liangpeng choke. The situation that Zuyun said is also true in their Fanyang realm and in their Liu Yun sect. Some cultivators who have just embarked on the immortal path are full of beautiful fantasies about the immortal world. But as the realm deepens and the longer they walk on the immortal path, their hearts change. The most obvious thing is to become greedy. Why did their Liu Yun sect want to unify the Fanyang realm back then? In fact, the original intention was good, which was to stop the unwarranted killing in the righteous path. But when the conflict with the Demon Sea realm occurred, this hatred was passed down from generation to generation. If the demon lords of the Demon Sea realm can agree, I don't mind it. After all, I don't plan to go to the spirit realm for the time being. But the other elders. Seeing Lu Liangpan's tone loosen, Zhu Yun smiled again. It's actually very simple. If they go to the spirit realm, it means they have nothing to do with the mortal realm. Could it be that they still care about the Demon Sea realm in the mortal realm? Or, transfer the resentment of all demon cultivators to the demon cultivators in the spirit realm? Excuse me, who dares? The demon lord of the mortal realm is nothing in the spirit realm. That's the truth. Lu Liangpeng calmed down and naturally listened to Zhu Yun's words, but he also knew the temper of these elders. Sometimes even he couldn't control it completely, so he had to ask, what if they don't agree? Why don't they agree? Zhu Yun smiled disdainfully and said, I'm refining the elixir here. Paying pill is just very simple. Those who want the elixir, come and get it. I'll reason with them one by one. This. Lu Liangpeng looked worried and said, there are many elders with strange tempers. What if they fight with Zhu Daiyu? Although I'm not worried about Zhu Daiyu's strength, it's inevitable. It doesn't matter, Zhu Yun laughed, and then stretched out his hand and opened the array gate of the 9 transformations 9 Yang Great Array, and a group of demon lords walked out. Master Lu, long time no see, how are you? Suddenly, Lu Liangpeng stood there in a daze. Warm ti. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 995. When these demon lords have conflicts with Fanyang realm, they will naturally meet Lu Liangpeng. Although their relationship is not good, they are all old acquaintances. Lu Liangpeng's face turned pale. He looked at Zhu Yun, Lu Ruyan, and finally looked at the Lord of Moxie Island. You said that there are descendants of the Lin family there. To be honest, Lu Liangpeng still cares about this. If there are descendants of the Lin family, it is a sure thing for them to go to the spirit world, and no one in Liu Yun sect will be lost in the passage to the spirit world. Just imagine, maybe 1 year, the ancestors of Liu Yun sect will come back from the spirit world and give some things from the spirit world casually, which are all natural treasures for the descendants. Not to mention, Fanyang realm is dominated by their Liu Yun sect, and those who can come back must be people from their Liu Yun sect. Of course, I think fellow deist Zhu has told you. The Lord of Moxie Island also glanced at Zhu Yun and said, if fellow deist Zhu hadn't spoken, we wouldn't want to meet with sect master Lu here. Originally, Elder Yan is in our hands, and this time we in the Demon Sea realm must get the spiritual world passage. Humph. Lu Liangpeng snorted coldly and said, tell me, what do you think? If the Lin family was not exterminated by your Demon Sea realm, we Liu Yun sect would naturally not entangle with you on this matter. And fellow deist Zhu will also mediate and let the other elders of our Liu Yun sect put down their grudges. Why would there be grudges if there are no grudges? The Lord of Moxie Island laughed and said, anyway, we in the Demon Sea realm have decided, everything it's all up to fellow deist Zhu to decide. Of course, if you Fanyang realm want to fight, we in the Demon Sea realm are not afraid of you. At most, we will go to the deep sea to fight for the passage of those giant monsters. Lu Liangpeng no longer paid attention to the Demon West Island Master and other demon lords, but said to Zhu Yun, fellow deist Zhu, when will you start refining the elixir you said? If there is a paying pill, it will be easier to persuade. Zhu Yun smiled slightly and said, refining the elixir is a small matter. Demon lords, please go back first and see Zhu solve this matter. Zhu Yun said to go back, naturally, to let them go back to the 9 transformations 9 Yang formation. He was afraid that if he was refining the elixir, the old man would come, that would be bad. The gate of the formation opened, and the demon lords went back again. They also kept in mind Zhu Yun's instructions. The old man might come back again through the teleportation talisman at any time. If they want to get a share in the spiritual world passage, they must cooperate with Zhu Yun. Only in this way can the demon cultivators in the demon sea realm last forever, and their descendants will always have the motivation to continue to cultivate. Zhu Yun did not explain why he put these demon kings back into the 9 transformations 9 suns formation, leaving Lu Liangpeng to guess. He took out the alchemy furnace, took out the spiritual medicine, and began to refine the infant cultivation pill. The burning sky flame was severely damaged and there was no spiritual fire available, but this was not a difficult task for Zhu Yun. Now that his lotus pod is full of chaotic power, it is very simple to transform it into pure fire spiritual power, and then use the fire column of the fire separation curse to purify the spiritual power in the medicine. At most, it took half an hour to refine a furnace of infant cultivation pills. Come, Sect Master Lu, take a look at this pill, how is it? Opening the furnace and taking the pill, Zhu Yun controlled one of the pills and flew towards Lu Liangpeng. Is this the nurturing pill? Lu Liangpeng held the pill in his palm. Before he could smell how fragrant the medicine was, he felt that the nascent soul in his body was actually agitated, as if he wanted to swallow it immediately. Fellow Daoist Zhu, can I take it here? Lu Liangpeng had no doubt that this was a poison pill. Of course, only if you take it, those elders will believe it. Zhu Yun made a gesture of invitation, and Lu Liangpeng was no longer polite and swallowed the pill into his stomach. In an instant, a pure medicinal power merged and then entered his 9 meridians, gurgling towards the nascent soul. Lu Liangpeng only felt a sense of comfort all over his body, even the nascent soul became cheerful, and because of this, the spiritual power in his body also changed slightly. More mellow. Lu Liangpeng believed that if this whole pill was completely dissolved and absorbed, he would definitely have obvious changes. Unexpectedly, there really is such a magical pill. It also means that Lu Ruyan did not lie to him, Zhu Yun really came from the spirit world. Only in the spirit world can there be such a mysterious pill formula to refine such a pill. While Lu Liangpeng was refining the pill, Zhu Yun simply continued to refine the pill, but this time, he refined the soul-shaping pill and the clear void pill. Anyway, he was free to do nothing. When the 2 furnaces of pills were refined, Lu Liangpeng also woke up. Thank you, Taoist Zhu, for the pill. Lu Liangpeng suppressed his excitement and thanked Zhu Yun first. At first, Zhu Yun's apparent reason was for the spirit stone, but now Lu Liangpeng knew that he was doing a thankless job. He could have taken Lu Ruyan with him. Because the opening time of the spirit world channel was only known to Lu Ruyan in the end. It's okay, Zhu Yun waved his hand and smiled, I just think that there may be someone who is plotting to provoke a war between your 2 realms and profit from it. As for who it is or what race it is, that's unknown. If the war continues, sooner or later, this mortal world will perish, which is not good for anyone. Lu Liangpeng deeply agrees that things will turn around when they reach their extremes. If one day the Liu Yun sect becomes the only one in the entire mortal world, then it will not be far from extinction. So, he has never let the entire Liu Yun sect enter the demon sea realm and kill all the demon cultivators. Bless you fellow Taoist, I'm calling all the elders in the sect to come over now. Lu Liangpeng motioned to Zhu Yun to open the formation door so that he could go out. Please. Zhu Yun could open the array gate with just a thought. However, he still let Lu Liangpeng take all the first batch of infant training pills with him. This. Lu Liangpeng looked confused, with mixed emotions in his heart, and said, Friend Zhu, are you not afraid that after those elders took the elixir, they no longer want to come? Zhu Yun laughed, then put away his smile and said, You can say it bluntly, only those who come here will have the elixir. Of course, if anyone dares to snatch it, from what I can see, sect leader Lu will simply kill him. Kill. Lu Liangpeng was stunned. He had always thought that Zuyun was easy to talk to and didn't like killing, but why didn't he want to kill him as soon as he came? Yes, kill. Zuyun seemed to be talking about an ordinary thing and said, if he doesn't come, it means that he doesn't care about the two realms, he only cares about his own cultivation realm. And next, when you two realms cooperate, there will be something like this. The presence of such people may damage the relationship between you and the Demon Sea realm. In this case, why not kill him to avoid future troubles? Sect Master Lu, with all due respect, this situation is not suitable for women's kindness. I also believe that if you take Pei Ying Dan, your strength will naturally increase. You don't understand the principle of killing chickens to scare monkeys, right? Lu Liangpeng understood. He was just a little scared by Zhu Yun's decision before. This is not only to scare the monkeys, but also to show the power of Zhu Yun Dan Dao. Pei Ying Dan is also a real thing. Moreover, what he said makes sense. Originally, they all had an attitude of killing the demonic monks who came to Fanyang realm. And next, it will definitely change. From one extreme to another. Some people really may not accept it. Although Zhu Yun's method is a bit cold-blooded, it has to be said that it is the best way to deal with it at the moment. Well. Lu Liangpeng sighed and said, don't worry, fellow Taoist, I won't let you destroy this mortal world. Then, he looked at Lu Ruyan again and said, Yan'er, will you go back with me? Lu Ruyan did not dare to make the decision without authorization, but asked Zhu Yun for his opinion with his eyes. That's okay. Zhu Yun took out a soul-shaping pill and threw it over, saying, however, sect leader Lu will go back first. You can refine the elixir here before going. You may not be able to help sect leader Lu. This is he Dan? Isn't it the Pei Ying Dan? Lu Liangpeng's eyes narrowed. He didn't know that Zhu Yun had made 2 more batches of elixirs. This is a soul-shaping pill, which helps to increase the strength of the soul. Elder Yan has been unstable these days, so it would be better to take this pill first. Lu Ruyan took it, feeling secretly grateful in her heart, so she said, Dad, you go back first. If you want to attack, wait until I arrive. I will be able to refine this pill soon. Okay, see you later. Lu Liangpeng turned around and left the Duzwangxing shifting formation, heading straight for Lu Yunzang. And Lu Ruyan also took the soul-shaping pill. Elder Yan, you can refine well here. You will be extremely safe in this formation. I will go talk to those demon lords. Having said that, Zhu Yong'an stood up and entered the 9 turns and 9 suns formation. You demon lords. He held up the porcelain bottle in his hand and said, Zhu always pays attention to fairness in his actions. Lu Yunzang takes the paying pill, and you guys take the Xianxia pill. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 996. Xianxia pill. The group of demon lords had already known about paying pill on the way here. They were a little envious. Some people also wondered if Zhu Yun would give them some paying pill. Although they practiced different ways, the demon infants in their bodies were still yuanying. It was just that they were yuanyings contaminated with demonic energy, which was essentially the same. But Zhu Yun had his own reasons for giving Xianxia pill. I learned from Nujiao that the magic skills practiced by the human race in the lower realm were actually the skills improved by the demons to suit the human physique. As for why it spread to the human race, it is unknown. So relatively speaking, the demon path is more likely to produce inner demons than the righteous path. And Xianxia pill is to reduce the chance of inner demons, which is relatively more suitable for these demon cultivators. Originally, the progress of the magic skills cultivation was fast. If this kind of pill was taken again, Who could guarantee that the inner demon would suddenly appear? Zhu Yun did not explain too much, but said, "My fellow demons, if you want paying pill, I am not unable to give it to you. It is just that I feel that you are more suitable for Xianxia pill now. I believe that you will know after taking it." They now trust Zhu Yun very much. So, they thanked Zhu Yun in unison. After the Demon West Island Lord distributed the pills to everyone, Zhu Yun said, "I will keep the array gate open here, and you can take turns to take Xianxia pill." The demons had no objection, knowing that Zhu Yun did this to prevent the old man from appearing suddenly. If they all chose to take it at this time, if the old man came, they would lose the opportunity to kill him. Even, they might be killed in return. "Then I will go first." The Demon West Island Lord smiled heartily, walked out of the array gate of Zhuan, sat down more than 10 steps away from Lu Ruyan, and then swallowed the Xianxia pill into his stomach. The medicinal power quickly dissolved, and also went along the 9 meridians, but wherever it went, the coolness instantly permeated the whole body. The Lord of Moxie Island only felt extremely comfortable, which was different from the warm current of swallowing other pills. Gradually, the Lord of Moxie Island's mind deepened and entered a state of forgetfulness. Until the medicinal power was completely dissolved and the feeling disappeared, he opened his eyes and found that Lu Ruyan was gone without knowing when. She took the infant cultivation pill first, and after refining and absorbing all the medicinal power, she had returned to Liu Yun sect. In other words, it won't be long before the people of Liu Yun sect will come. "Island Lord, how do you feel?" A group of demon lords, crowded in the array gate, asked with expectation. They saw the growth of Lu Ruyan's momentum with their own eyes, and compared it with the Lord of Moxie Island. Although there was no obvious change, there was an indescribable feeling. They didn't know how to describe it. Moxie Island shook his head and said, "I can't say, it's very comfortable anyway. Anyway, I think if I practice next, the possibility of going astray will be reduced." As expected of the leader of the Demon Sea realm, he actually guessed the effect of the elixir. The demon lord seemed dissatisfied with this explanation, but Zhu Yun laughed and said, "Yes, Xianxia pill is to clear away some of your bad thoughts. Naturally, the chance of having a demon in your heart will be smaller." The demon lords suddenly realized, and at the same time they also knew how mysterious this elixir was. Compared with paying pill, it is indeed the elixir they need more. At this level, they are fearless in the mortal world, except for themselves. Because of the magic power, they are prone to demons in their hearts. The realm can be refined, the spiritual power can be purified, but the demon in their hearts is not under their control. Fellow Daoistzu, you didn't say it earlier. If I had known, I would have taken this elixir first. A demon lord laughed and said, seemingly blaming, but actually deliberately catering to Zhu Yun. "Master Sen is too polite. If I had told you the purpose of this elixir earlier, wouldn't there be less surprise?" Zhu Yun recognized him. He was also the master of a large island. He couldn't remember what magic he practiced. But it was indeed extraordinary. However, Master Sen didn't say much along the way, and he always stood beside Master Moxie. I guess they had a good relationship. Then it's my turn next. Please give me some face, all the demon lords. Master Sen squeezed out of the array gate without saying a word, then put the elixir into his mouth and sat in the position of Lu Ruyan before. Master Moxie was in a good mood. He stood up with a smile on his face, bowed to Zhu Yun, and retreated to the array gate. Then he took out the teleportation talisman and held it in his hand. This went on and on. After several demon lords had refined the elixir, Lu Liangpeng finally arrived with the Yuanying elders of the sect. There were traces of fighting on Lu Liangpeng's body, and so did Lu Ruyan's body. It was obvious that they had fought, and the result was obvious. It must be that Lu Liangpeng had shown his divine power. There were more than 100 Yuanying stage cultivators in Lu Yun sect. They were evenly matched with the demon cultivators in the Demon Sea realm. However, the demon masters in the Demon Sea realm were much older and more senior. After all, most of the Yuanying stage cultivators in Lu Yun sect had entered the spiritual world passage, and perhaps they existed in the spiritual world. Few of the Demon Sea realm went to the spiritual world. It was because of this that the balance in the number of Yuanying cultivators was achieved. Master Lu, please. Zhu Yun glanced at the demon master who was refining the Xianxia pill, and before opening the array gate of the Duzhuangxing II array, he closed the Zhuzuan Zhuyang array first. He was afraid that if he came in, there would be more than 100 Yuanying on each side fighting, and he would probably be affected. That would be fine, the key is that he was powerless to stop such a big battle. On the contrary, leaving only one person here would not attract much hatred. Everyone, the paying pill was made by fellow deist Zhu. In order to avoid accidents, Zhu Yun still kept Zhu Feng's face, but these Yuanying had never seen it. Fellow deist Zhu is amazing. If we have this paying pill, the whole mortal world will be ours in the future. A Yuanying stage that Zhu Yun had no impression of actually rushed in front of Lu Liangpeng and said that he wanted to unify the whole mortal world, which made Zhu Yun very unhappy. He looked at Lu Liangpeng. But he saw that Lu Liangpeng's face was also livid. I have never seen this elder. Zhu Yun said bluntly, and he did not give him any face. The other elders smiled in response, but this. Where did he come from? Don't blame me, my friend. This is my son. He has been practicing hard and doesn't understand the ways of the world. Lu Liangpeng's explanation surprised Zhu Yun. He didn't know that Lu Liangpeng had a son. Look at this kid, he seems to be deeply involved in the play. Although he also asked Lu Liangpeng not to talk about the cooperation with the Demon Sea realm, this kid's words are likely to destroy the cooperation between the two parties. It set a bad example. Zhu Yun wanted to slap him and then say that children should not interrupt when adults are talking. But the Yuanyings were obviously also emotional because of this. Zhu Yun had a headache, but fortunately Lu Ruyan stood up and rescued him. Rumua, it's not your turn to speak here, stand outside. She stepped forward and grabbed Lu Rumu's collar and threw it behind her. How could this be a fight between Yuanyings? It was clearly like a neighbor's sister teaching her younger brother a lesson. Zhu Yun was speechless, and then said to Lu Liangpeng with a serious face, is there trouble in the sect? Before Lu Liangpeng could reply, another Yuanying stage suddenly stood up and pointed at the demon lord who was refining the Xianxia pill and said, fellow deist Zhu, what do you mean? Why is there a demon lord here? Demon lord. This is, Feng Hai demon lord. Kill him, kill him. For a moment, these Yuanying elders were excited. When they came in, their attention was all on Zhu Yun, and they were distracted by Lu Rumo, so they didn't react. Elders, listen to me. At this time, Lu Liangpeng knew that it was his turn to appear, so he immediately flashed to Zhu Yun's side, infused his voice with spiritual power, and shouted loudly. Sect Master, are you colluding with the Demon Sea realm? An old Yuanying man with a bad face suddenly appeared in front of Zhu Yun and Lu Liangpeng. It's not collusion, Lu Liangpeng said with his eyes wide open, but, cooperation. Cooperation. Hearing these two words, all the Yuanying elders were stunned. How could they possibly cooperate with the Demon Sea realm? A fantasy. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 997. Fellow deist Zhu, your purpose of using the infant training pill is to let us cooperate with the demonic sea realm. The Yuanying old man looked at Zhu Yun with cold eyes and said, as if the discussion beside him had nothing to do with him. Pui Ying Dan, this is just a meeting gift from Zhu. Regarding cooperation, we can talk about it if we can. If we can't, we can let it go. Zhu Yun said calmly, but it was a surprise to everyone. Meeting gift? Do you mean it was given to them for free? Suddenly, the discussion stopped, and everyone's eyes were on Zuyun. Not only you, but all demon lords also have a meeting gift. It's just a Xianxia pill to reduce the chance of inner demons. Zuyun said again, and now everyone was at a loss. Zuyun, what does this mean? And, they cooperate? What to collaborate on? I have never heard of any major events happening in their mortal world recently. Seeing everyone looking at him, Zuyun smiled slightly and said, the passage to the spirit world will be open soon. Everyone in Liu Yun sect will definitely have some ideas. Am I right or wrong? My best wishes, fellow Taoist, just say what you have to say, there is no need to hide it. The old man's gaze remained unchanged. Okay, then I'll tell you the truth, Zuyun smiled slightly and said, you control the passage to the spirit world, but in the demon sea realm, there are descendants of the Lin family. This cooperation is not temporary, but long-term. We don't need to do anything to greatly increase our chances of successfully reaching the spiritual world, so why not? But the number of people who can enter the spiritual world channel at a time is limited, and who can guarantee whether the demon lords will take action in the channel? That's wrong, Zuyun shook his head and said, they will definitely not take action. Because if they take the initiative to destroy this cooperation, there will be no possibility of cooperation in the future. There is no need for them to destroy the way to the spiritual world for no reason. Opportunity. The passage in the deep sea is controlled by giant monsters. The demons are not willing to go back and take great risks. And you are the same. I don't know what happens in the passage in the spiritual world, but these in the past few years, the seniors who have gone to the spirit world have not had any contact with you. It is conceivable that there are many dangers in the spirit world passage. Zuyun talked about the pros and cons. And obviously, the pros outweigh the cons. Looking at Lu Yunzang, or the entire Fanyang realm, it is true that no senior from the spiritual world has returned with any news over the years. It is true that there are some difficulties in returning from the spirit world to the mortal world. But in the mortal world, there are always rumors that there are monks from the spiritual world coming and going. And Zuyun had something that touched their hearts. That is, if there is no guide, it is extremely risky for them to go to the spirit world. Even if all the places are taken by them, can they successfully reach the spirit world? Only with the guidance of a guide can one successfully reach the spiritual world. As a result, although the number of places is reduced, the hope of successfully traveling to the spirit world is increased. And the biggest hatred between the two realms also started because the leader was exterminated. You said they have descendants of the Lin family. How to prove it? This time it was not just the Yuanying old man, Lu Liangpeng also turned around and asked. I think the descendants of the Lin family must have mastered a kind of pupil technique that can see through the illusion in the spiritual world passage and pass through the passage safely, right? Wish you fellow Taoist, you know a lot. Lu Liangpeng smiled bitterly, but when he thought that Zuyun also came from the spirit world, he couldn't help but feel relieved. Friend Zhu Dao, with all due respect, we have to meet the descendants of the Lin family. Otherwise, how can we believe them if they are empty words? Zuyun looked relaxed and said, when the passage to the spiritual world opens, the demon lords from the demon sea realm will naturally bring the descendants of the Lin family here. This is also to prevent changes. If someone with evil intentions traps all the descendants of the Lin family in Liu Yun sect in advance, then the demon sea realm will lose its biggest trump card and will no longer have the qualifications to negotiate. Even Zuyun might not be able to survive. Therefore, Zuyun did not agree directly. How many places are there for this spiritual world passage? Lu Liangpeng turned to look at Lu Ruyan. The treasure of the passage was with Lu Ruyan. Every time the spirit world channel is opened, the number of people will be limited, and it will be different every time. No one knows why, but the treasure of this passage is mysterious and can be predicted before it is opened. Lu Ruyan took out the disc-shaped magic weapon, then closed her eyes and felt it carefully. After a moment, she opened her eyes and said, "There are not many places this time, there are 18 in total." 18. Lu Liangpeng said, 9 people from the Demon Sea realm, how about us 9 people from the Mortal Yang realm? Being able to share half of the quota, Demon Lord Feng Hai naturally agreed, but on the surface he did not agree directly. Instead, he said, "I also have to discuss with all the demon lords and find a candidate among them. If there was a chance to go to the spirit world, naturally everyone would want to take the first step. There are only 9 spots available, which isn't a lot, but it's a good start. 9 is a bit too much. In my opinion, 6 is the most." Who would have thought that the old Yuanying man would suddenly interrupt and take over his place? Immediately, Demon Lord Feng Hai's face darkened, and Zhu Yun also frowned slightly. "Why, you don't want to? You have to think about it, you don't have a single quota. And, for this quota, we have to give it to other monks in the Fanyang realm. We are not like the demonic cultivators like you in the demonic sea realm." These words undoubtedly aroused the anger of Demon Lord Feng Hai, but after taking the Xianxia pill, his control over his emotions has also improved. Demon Lord Feng Hai looked at Zhu Yun and said sternly, "Fellow Daoist Zhu, it's up to you to decide how many places we have in the Demon Sea realm. As long as you open your mouth, I will recognize 6 of them, and I think the other demon lords won't have any objections." Compared to these elders of the Lu Yun sect, Demon Lord Feng Hai knew better than to cater to Zhu Yun in order to obtain the greatest benefits. "Fellow Daoist Zhu, you said you are just a lobbyist. Why do the demon cultivators turn to you as their leader?" The Yuanying old man took a step forward and stared at Zhu Yun with evil eyes. The provocation is self-evident. Perhaps, he had planned in his heart to enter the demonic sea realm and bring back all the descendants of the Lin family. But he didn't know Zhu Yun's attitude towards this matter. As long as there is a little discordant sound, he will kill it. That's because they know how to behave. And you, being old and disrespectful, and still staying in the mortal world at such an old age, I guess you are not a good person." Zhu Yun said coldly, "This negotiation is for the stability of the entire mortal world. You guys are killing each other, which will only make this mortal world more and more declining. There may be no way to cultivate immortality in the future. I don't want to. I intervened in this matter for the sake of Elder Yan and wanted to reconcile you. Since you are dim-sighted and short-sighted, don't blame me for being rude." After saying that, Zhu Yun's momentum surged, and pressure surged towards the old man. "Ha ha ha, boy named Zhu, you are alone. Even if you have this Feng Hai demon lord, how can I be afraid of you? I stay in the mortal world just to prevent you young people from coming. Humph, you are short-sighted. It's you, all the Yuanying stage members of our Lu Yun sect are here, do you dare to try? Just give it a try." Zhu Yun laughed and stretched out his hand to pinch the formation technique. Suddenly, the colors of the wind and clouds changed in the formation, and the originally bright sky suddenly turned into an endless void, with thousands of stars shining together overhead. As expected of a formation master, I have never seen such a mysterious formation before, but what I am least afraid of is the formation. While speaking, the nascent soul old man reached out and took out a hammer from his arms. Zhu Yun looked familiar. Wasn't this the formation-breaking hammer he had used before? Unexpectedly, similar talismans can be seen in this northern world. But his methods are not limited to formations. Zhu Yun moved his hands and quickly pinched a few formations, and suddenly thousands of stars started to move. In addition to isolating the old nascent soul, several meteors also hit the old man on the head. "Break it for me." The old man was not afraid at all. At his age, he had wanted to reach the nascent soul stage for a long time, and he must have taken the infant training pill in Lu Yunzang. But Zhu Yun disagreed. As long as these nascent soul elders don't swarm him, with his full spiritual power, he can naturally attack them separately. I have thousands of stars, how long can your hammer break them? Zuyun smiled contemptuously, and his body immediately disappeared into the void. There is no other way to deal with it, it is nothing more than trapping the old Yuanying in it. There are not many methods to deal with him. It is more important to stabilize the emotions of the rest of the nascent soul stage. Sure enough, when Zuyun's figure reappeared in front of everyone, another stream of green light, in the shape of a willow leaf, struck towards his face. At the same time, Lu Ruyan's exclamation came. Rumo, no. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 998. Zuyun didn't know where Lu Rumo, a young Yuanying, could have such resentment and insisted on taking action against him. For the sake of being Lu Ruyan's biological brother, facing this sudden attack, he just downplayed it and punched it out. Thunder. Just hearing a roar, a bolt of lightning appeared on Zuyun's fist. The third path of Chaos Fist. In an instant, the willow leaf-shaped spiritual power dissipated directly. At the same time, the aftermath, with the power of shock, directly lifted Lu Rumo away. Lu Ruyan also took the opportunity to meet him, and then controlled Lu Rumo. Before Lu Liangpeng followed up with a look of shame on his face, Zuyun looked around and said calmly, I am easy to talk to, and I like to be courteous before fighting. If you feel that you can't cooperate with the demons in the Demon Sea realm, then you can end it one by one. Zhu Mao accepted it all. As soon as these words came out, the other Yuanying fell silent. If it were outside, it would be okay, but now they are all in the star-moving formation, which makes them afraid. In particular, the oldest old man among them was dancing his hammer wildly in the void. They can see. This was done intentionally by Zuyun, in order to create a deterrent effect. Impossible, I will never cooperate with the Demon Sea realm. If you dare, kill me. But who would have thought that Lu Rumo would be crazy and roar at Zuyun? Suffering from being controlled by Lu Ruyan, he was unable to break free. Moer. Lu Liangpeng didn't know where his son had such great resentment. He had always stayed in the sect to practice, and he had never even gone out to practice. Don't call me. If you cooperate with the Demon Sea realm, I will not recognize you as my father. Lu Rumo also roared at Lu Liangpeng, and even looked at him with a look full of hatred. It seems that there is something hidden in this. Zuyun saw that the other Yuanying elders were also frowning, and he guessed some of the reasons. He thought they didn't know why they were like this. Best wishes to fellow Taoist, this. When Lu Liangpeng heard this, he also smiled bitterly. It doesn't matter, I'll just let him calm down. Zuyun smiled lightly and stretched out his hand to dance in the void. Pure Heart Talisman. Although this elementary talisman is a bit low-end, sometimes the lower the level of talisman, the more unexpected effects it can produce. Moreover, Zuyun was drawn in the form of a spiritual talisman at the stage of becoming a god. In fact, the effect is not worse than that of a high-level talisman. The spiritual talisman has broken away from the method of infusing it with spiritual power. The King's In talisman took shape, turned into a rune pattern, and rushed directly between Lu Rumo's eyebrows. But after a while, Lu Rumo became quiet. Okay, now we can get down to business. Zuyun raised his eyebrows and looked at everyone again. Previously, we talked about half of the places in the Demon Sea realm. Lu Liangpeng was afraid that Zuyun had forgotten, so he reminded him loudly. This way, Zuyun said, in the Demon Sea realm, there are 8 places for you this time, and you also have 8 places. The extra 2, 1 for me, and 1 for Elder Yan. This time is a special situation, in the future, the 2 sides are divided equally. As for the Fanyang realm, the quota will be allocated by your section. What do you think? Now. No one dared to object. Because the methods Zuyun showed had completely shocked them. First came the alchemy, then the formation, and the thunderous punch from before. Furthermore, he also made it clear that he wanted to enter it. Even if there is dissatisfaction, it is absolutely impossible when the spiritual world channel is opened this time. Lu Liangpen looked at the other elders. No one had any opinions, so the matter was settled. Zhu Yun also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he cut through the mess quickly, otherwise if these people were ventilated, things might not go so smoothly. So, he clapped his hands and said with a smile, "This can be regarded as a major event in the mortal world. Then, all demon lords, please come out and meet us." The applause stopped, and the gates of the 9 turns and 9 suns formation were opened at the same time, and the demon lords headed by the master of Demon West Island came out one by one. A formation was filled with people. With more than 200 people in the nascent soul stage, they can be said to be the most powerful group of people in the North Mortal Realm. Lu Yunzong was shocked once again. The last trace of dissatisfaction in my heart disappeared in an instant, and I didn't dare to have any more thoughts. No wonder he said he could represent the Demon Sea realm. It turned out that he had unknowingly brought all the demon lords outside of Liukan. They are also people who can afford to take things and let them go. There is no need to weigh them. Everyone knows the pros and cons. The opening time of the spiritual world channel is uncertain, but it does not open only once every few hundred years. In other words, even if they don't get their turn this time, they still have plenty of opportunities. And with a guide, it couldn't be easier for them to pass through the spiritual world in the future. For a moment, the hatred was put aside. In the formation, the tense atmosphere suddenly disappeared. They were all acquaintances. Under Zhu Yun's deliberate decision, no one mentioned any unpleasant things. They quickly sat down one by one. Not only did they have a pleasant conversation, but some resource transactions were also reached fairly and fairly. Cooperate. After all, from now on, there will be no unprovoked killings in the Demon Sea realm and Fanyang realm. Zhu Yun just looked at them quietly and allowed them to communicate, but the old Yuanying was still trapped. Everyone could see him swinging the hammer, but turned a blind eye. Lu Rumo also seemed to have fallen into a drowsiness at this time because of the King's In talisman, and was extremely quiet. But no one thought that. Suddenly, a light emitted from the arms of the owner of Moxie Island. Huh! Everyone was attracted at this moment, but the moment their eyes landed, a huge spiritual power distorted the space, and then a figure suddenly appeared here. Not good. Zhu Yun was shocked. This formation was set up by him, and his perception was the most sensitive. How could he not know that this was the old man coming? He didn't have time to say anything, so he stepped forward and punched the figure, and a blue dragon phantom suddenly blasted out from his fist. "Boy, I didn't expect you to bring my teleportation talisman out of that world." Sure enough, the old man's voice came, and at the same time he was greeted with a punch. 10,000 demons fist. In an instant, demonic power surged from all directions, and countless demonic powers surged in, attacking Zhu Yun's Qinglong fist. The blue dragon roars, and all the demons roar. The two huge forces bombarded each other, instantly causing the Dozhuan Scene Shift formation to fall into pieces. The formation is broken. The old man Yuanying got out of trouble with a confused look on his face, still holding a hammer in his hand. Lu Rumo was also awakened by the sound of a huge earthquake at this moment. "Boy, so you have gathered so many Yuanyings here." The old man and Zhu Yun took several steps back. This round, there was no winner or loser. At the same time, the old man also instantly understood the situation at this time. Apart from anything else, when I didn't use the power of the Mahayana period, I realized that I was still in the mortal world. Die. The old man was so experienced. In this situation, if Zhu Yun was not killed quickly, he might not have another chance. Due to the limitations of heaven, no matter how strong he is, he cannot be the opponent of more than 200 nascent soul stage. 10,000 Demons Fist. With the same move, the old man struck out again. Zuyun did not expect that this old man would have the same moves as Zhao Kamang. At this time, it was too late to think about it. Qinglong Fist was equally matched with him, so he could only use Suanwu Fist to deal with it. Go ahead, kill him. Zuyun raised his fist to meet him, and at the same time shouted for the others to come and help. The two fists collided, Suanwu's shadow disappeared again, and the two of them took 3 steps back again. Seeing that the other people were already attacking from both sides, the old man felt regretful and at the same time wanted to leave. But as soon as the thought came up, he saw a stream of light, mixed in the crowd, heading towards Zuyun. Hey, are there traitors among these people? The old man immediately found an opportunity, and in the flash of lightning, he saw the old nascent soul. His heart condensed and he took a step back. After retreating and avoiding the angle, he saw another stream of light about to stab Zuyun in the back. This young man. The old man dodged and managed to avoid the sneak attacks of the demon lords behind him, and the 2 streams of light just met Zuyun. Not good. Zuyun never expected that someone among the nascent souls would be attacking him secretly. By the time he reacted, he could no longer dodge and could only half turn around and punch each other. Winter solstice. It's snowing heavily. 2 groups of chaotic fists met the old Yuanying and Lurumo. Bang! The extremely low temperature instantly froze the willow leaf-shaped stream of light. At the same time, the 2 of them were also hit by Zuyun and flew backwards in the same direction. Zuyun did not dare to neglect. What he was afraid of was that the old man would use the 10,000 demon fist against him again at this time, and then he would have no choice but to use the chaos palm to deal with it. But just as he turned his eyes, the old man dodged. The next moment, he appeared behind the 2 people. He grabbed their clothes corners with one hand and walked away in a flash. Damn it, let them get away. Zuyun did not pursue him, but looked at the north with extremely cold eyes. The troubles are endless. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 999. The battle started suddenly and ended suddenly. The total amount of time was only a few breaths, and Zuyun only fought 3 times. The first 2 times were of course 2 punches clashing with the old man. Best wishes to fellow Taoist, this. Lu Liangpeng came back to his senses. This was beyond everyone's expectation. His elders and juniors were actually kidnapped by an outsider. That person obviously knew Zuyun. That person also came from the spirit world. Zuyun took a deep breath and then said, he has vicious thoughts and clever methods. The most important thing is, he is a strong man in the Mahayana period. As soon as these words came out, everyone in Liu Yun sect was shocked. Mahayana period. This is the existence they look up to. For a moment, there were actually 2 sides fighting, as if they were about to retreat at any time. Why? Zuyun frowned and glanced over, and said calmly, you demon lords have already known about the Mahayana period, but you have never been afraid of it. After all, you are also the strongest people of Liu Yun sect, and you will never be weaker than the demon sea realm. Fellow Taoist. They knew that Zuyun was a method of motivating generals, but when it came to the demonic sea realm, they naturally did not want to be at a disadvantage. At this time, the channel to the spiritual world may be opened at any time. Although there is no overt dispute, there is still a secret rivalry. Don't talk about the Mahayana period, even if it is the tribulation period, we have so many people and strength, how can we be afraid of him? An elder from Liu Yun sect stood up and said. Yes, that's it. Zuyun relaxed his brows, then raised them, and said with a smile, "I must kill this man in the mortal world. However, he has great magical powers, and he may be teleported through the talisman at any time. Come on." So Zhu has another request. Before the spiritual world channel is opened, there will be as many as 100 nascent souls to guard you. During this period, Zhu can keep refining the elixirs for you. Real. Now, not only the people of Lu Yun sect, but also the monks in the Demon Sea realm were overjoyed. They have all experienced how powerful Zhu Yun's elixir is. Of course it's true, Zhu Yun smiled slightly and said, "As I said, Zhu likes to be courteous first and then attack. Since you are willing to cooperate with Zhu, I will not treat you badly." "Then thank you in advance, fellow Taoist Zhu," everyone said in unison. "Okay, let's go to Liu Yun sect first. It's not convenient to do things outside the city. Moreover, we need to call Fanyang realm. From now on, we must not have any unreasonable friction with the demon cultivators." Of course, at this point at this place, Zhu Yun turned back to look at the demon lords and said, "The demon lords also need to send people to the Demon Sea realm. You can come to the Fanyang realm in the future, but you are not allowed to cause trouble randomly. I wish fellow Taoists to rest assured. I actually reached a consensus on some resource exchanges with sect leader Lu before. Although the Demon Sea realm lacks resources, it is better than the sea. They have many elixirs that are not available on land. Of course, many resources in the Fanyang realm are also in short supply in the Demon Sea realm. This can be regarded as interconnection, just like the original Yusha realm and Pipa realm, including the final connection with Dongsheng realm. That's very good." Zhu Yun nodded happily. Who would have thought that with his sharp tongue and some means, he could resolve the grievances between the two realms? This couldn't be better. Next, he returned to Liu Yun's section. In addition to warning that the old man might appear at any time, he also needed to refine elixirs for all the nascent souls. Peiying Dan, Qingxiu Dan, and Soul Shaping Dan. The main ones are these three. As for the two people who were kidnapped, this was nothing Zhu Yun could worry about. Leave the headache to Lu Liangpeng. It is 1,000 miles north of Liukan. In a medium-sized city. You two have a grudge against that boy. Yao Fuzong looked at the two Lu Yun sect elders and said calmly. "Thank you, fellow Taoist, for the rescue." Lu Chang'an spoke first, raised his hands to Yao Fuzong, and then said angrily, "I don't know what means that kid used to make Lu Liangpeng cooperate with the Demon Sea realm. This is a great feud, and we must live together his revenge. Otherwise, Lu wouldn't have wanted to kill him forcefully in that situation." "That's right, I don't know what medicine my father, Lu Liangpeng took. And Lu Ruyan, who was deceived by that boy and actually cooperated with the Demon Sea realm. That is tantamount to seeking the skin of a tiger." Seeing the indignant looks of the two people, Yao Fuzong disapproved. He was not interested at all in the affairs of the Bifan realm. Now he just wants to kill Zhu Yun, and then look for the space magic weapon on him. The teleportation talisman he left in the universe was taken out by this boy, and when he thought about his previous unreasonable departure, there was no doubt that this was his treasure. The most important thing is that the world actually gave birth to the world tree, which is completely capable of refining its own world. But at this time, he knew nothing about the northern mortal realm, and could not even return to the spiritual world for the time being. His abilities were limited. If he could unite the two people in front of him, he could make use of them. The 10,000 demon art that I have been practicing for a lifetime is actually on par with that kid. It is obvious that this kid must be extraordinary. If he returns to the spirit world, it may be difficult to deal with him then. Thinking of this, Yao Fuzong planned to put down his identity and make friends with these people first. Before entering the city, the two of them revealed their identities as elders of the Lu Yun section. The city's lord greeted them in a humble and polite manner. Perhaps, this can be their temporary shelter. Indeed, How can a righteous monk cooperate with a demonic monk? It's good, evil is evil. I can't stand this move, so I have long left a means to kill that kid. But I didn't expect that this kid cleverly with his sharp tongue, he not only convinced the demon cultivator, but also deceived all the fellow Taoists of Lu Yun sect. Yao Fuzong is so smart. With just a little contact, he can integrate himself into this topic. That's right, Lu Chang'an said angrily, our ancestors have decreed that the passage to the spiritual world can only be in the hands of our righteous monks. If they want to continue practicing, they can only fight with the sea monster. Since ancient times, the devil has never been able to defeat the good. I don't know what kind of ecstasy pill that boy Zuyun gave the others. After all, Lu Chang'an would not mention Pei Yingdan. He was afraid that if the old man knew about Pei Yingdan, he might not be able to help them. The matter has come to this, it's useless for us to say anything. Is the channel to the spirit world about to be opened? I don't understand the news clearly. Fellow Daoist Lu, why don't you talk to me and see if we have a chance to prevent them from succeeding? Yao Fuzong had no reaction on his face, but his heart was tight. He was just afraid that Zuyun would return to the spirit world, and this mentioned the spirit world passage. I think cooperation has a lot to do with the spirit world passage. Hey, at this time, Lu Rumo said, fellow Taoist, if you want to destroy their cooperation, I have two ways. Oh. The two of them immediately looked at Lu Rumo. First, the treasure that predicts the opening of the spiritual world channel belongs to my sister Lu Ruyan. Second, there are descendants of the Lin family on Moxie Island in the Demon Sea realm. While all their demon lords are in Liukan, why not let's go ahead and kill all the descendants of the Lin family? By then, the Demon Sea realm will have no negotiating capital. How can they negotiate with Lu Yunzong? Descendants of the Lin family? Yao Fuzong was stunned. He remembered that the descendants of the Lin family served as guides for the spiritual world passage in the East Mortal realm. But as soon as the thought came up, he put it aside. This matter has nothing to do with him. However, destroying the hope of going to the spirit world is something he would like to see. If that's the case, then that's it. Yao Fuzong said in a deep voice, I'm going to grab the treasure of the spiritual world passage and hold them back. If you guys, go to Moxie Island and kill all the descendants of the Lin family. The nascent soul stage can teleport. If it appears on that island, no one will be able to defeat it. This arrangement is simply wonderful. Lu Chang'an immediately said, okay, let's rest while walking. After that, he took out a leaf of Lu Yunzhou. This means that Lu Chang'an and Lu Chang'an will be envoys one after another, while the other person will recover his energy on the boat. Good. Yao Fuzong clapped his hands and said, I left the method behind and you can go back directly. Without further ado, we will meet at Moxie Island. The three of them agreed, and Lu Chang'an sent Lu Yunzhou to leave, but Yao Fuzong was not in a hurry. He was afraid that he would encounter the previous situation again, the 200 nascent soul stage, that was no joke. At the same time, Zuyun also arrived at Liu Yun sect. In that natural formation, he frowned, thinking about the difference between Yao Fuzong's 10,000 demons art and Zhao Kamang's 10,000 demons art. If I had known earlier, I would have never let Zhao Kamang leave. The demon refining tower was originally in Chuzhu and was guarded by the 10,000 demons sect. But later, the 10,000 demons sect was attacked by a group of people, and the last sect leader fled to the cave of Huangshi Mountain and let me get the first fragment. What kind of sacred object is it? There is no doubt that the 10,000 demons sect has an inevitable relationship with this old man, so, where are the fragments? I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1000. Soon, Zuyun felt that the old man must have nothing to do with the cave fragments. Otherwise, it would not have fallen into the hands of the then 10,000 demon sect master. And through the ancestral tree, I learned that the old man had laid out his plan for so long, maybe because he wanted to refine a part of the world for his own use. As for the purpose of doing this, he didn't know. But judging from the demon refining tower he refined, the old man's ability to refine weapons is also extraordinary. Regardless of whether the demon refining tower is big or small, the 9 levels of space inside alone show that his attainments are extremely extraordinary. This is just the Mahayana period. If you are in the tribulation period, you can imagine how terrifying the old man's strength is. We must kill him in the mortal world. If he goes to the spiritual world, I may not have a chance. The spiritual world is so big. If I want to find him again, even if I have Yayuan to help me, I'm afraid it will be extremely difficult to succeed. Zhu Yun's thoughts coincided with Yao Fuzong's. But what he didn't expect was that Yao Fuzong was already plotting against Lu Yunzong and wanted to take the opportunity to take away the treasure of the prediction channel. At this time, he did not use the talisman to teleport to Lu Yun's sect as he told Lu Chang'an and the other two, but took out a mask and came outside Liukan. Putting on the mask, not only did he change his appearance, but his breath also changed. They are both in the nascent soul stage, but no one would know that he is Yao Fuzong, whom Zhu Yun extremely wants to kill. Senior, the entrance fee is 10 spirit stones. At the city gate, the guard responsible for guarding the gate said with a smile. Not long ago, Lu Yunzong suddenly issued an order from the sect leader. From now on, all monks can enter the city, whether they are in the Fanyang realm, the demonic sea realm, or even the ice demon realm demon cultivators. In other words, anyone can enter the city. Take it. Yao Fuzong calmly took out 10 spiritual stones and threw them to the guards. After entering the city, he looked around and finally set his sights on Liu Yun Pavilion, the highest in the city. The high-rise building here can almost have a panoramic view of the entire city. It is a good place to go. However, the cost of the spiritual stone is also quite high. Yao Fuzong couldn't help but feel a little depressed. He had spiritual stones, but not many. When he left the small town, the city lord personally sent it to him. After all, he might have been influenced by the Lu Yun sect. It's not a big problem if you stay here for a day or two. I'm just worried that you'll have to stay for a long time. That's all. The spirit stone is still a small matter, let's live in it first. Regarding this kind of thing, Yao Fuzong is still open-minded, so he joined Lu Yunzong. But as soon as he arrived, he lived on the top floor and was in a strange nascent soul stage, which attracted Lu Yunzong's attention to some extent. The spiritual world, the northern ice field. Seventh sister, you finally woke up. Ya Yuan looked at Sun Qiniang, who was a little confused and couldn't help but said happily. Yeah, senior, yeah, I am not dead. Feeling a huge and abnormal firepower flowing through her body, Sun Qiniang was very puzzled. Even though she had experienced life and death countless times, this was the first time she felt like this. Don't call me senior, call me brother Yuan. Ya Yuan was also a person of good temper. He wiped the corners of his eyes and said with a smile, you are not dead, you are lucky. Moreover, if you practice your sword well, you will achieve extraordinary things in the future. Yuan, brother Yuan. Yes, brother Yuan. In this spiritual world from now on, brother Yuan will protect you, so just practice well. You, brother Yuan, and I are in the period of transcending tribulation. Ya Yuan slapped his chest loudly. Transcending the tribulation period. Sun Qiniang took a breath of cold air. Could it be that she had intervened in the fight between two powerful men? No wonder Ya Yuan had such a reaction. But Sun Qiniang was also free and easy. She stood up and said to Ya Yuan, Qiniang has met brother Yuan. Ha ha ha, okay, okay. Ya Yuan, also have a sister. Don't worry, seventh sister, brother Yuan can protect you in this spiritual world, and Brother Yuan can also protect you in the fairy world. Ye Yuan is not making wild claims. His father, Ye Yong, is known as the immortal king. Although he is not an immortal emperor, he is still a figure. As long as Ye Yuan opens his mouth, even if his father doesn't agree, his mother Qiu Linjian will recognize Sun Qiniang as her goddaughter. The immortal realm, Brother Yuan said, it is too far away. Now I am only in the nascent soul stage. There is a long way to go in my cultivation. She thought that Ye Yuan would allow her to ascend directly without practicing. Integrated with the remnant soul of Zhang Dao Master, Sun Qiniang also obtained some fragmentary information, such as the Immortal Ascension platform, which allows one to reach the immortal realm without having to enter a realm. And her idea is also very simple. Only the power she cultivates is her own power. That's right, cultivation is cultivation. You can practice with peace of mind and tell Brother Yuan what you want. As long as it's not a star in the fairy world, Brother Yuan can pick it off for you. Ye Yuan continued to pat his chest and assured. That's not necessary. Sun Qiniang looked at the wind and thunder sword in her hand. After she felt that the sword was completely under her control, she looked at the chaos sword beside her and said, Brother Yuan, I want to experience this in the spiritual world. Lian. You also know that I am a sword cultivator and I need to improve my understanding of the sword during fighting. Experience. Ye Yuan touched his chin, then took out a talisman from his arms and handed it over, saying, This is the teleportation talisman I took from the hand of an old immortal. You leave a soul mark on it, and then leave the talisman here, and if you encounter danger, you can use your mind to control it and it will be teleported here. Teleportation talisman. Sun Qiniang was stunned. She had seen the teleportation array before, but the teleportation talisman. Yes, the teleportation talisman, Ye Yuan said with a smile, this teleportation talisman is extremely mysterious. I don't know how to draw it, otherwise I would get it from someone else. You want to go out for training, and Brother Yuan is naturally not convenient to accompany you. I have to wait for people here. Sun Qiniang was actually unwilling to let Ye Yuan follow her. Through these two conversations with Ye Yuan, Sun Qiniang knew that if she was in danger, Ye Yuan might take action, and then she would lose the meaning of training. It is better to use the teleportation talisman. So, she took the talisman, her mind sank, and she left a soul mark on it, and then handed the teleportation talisman to Ye Yuan, saying, Brother Yuan, you should keep this talisman on you, so that if you are in danger, I can also come back to you. Not necessarily in danger, if you want to come back, you can come back at any time. Ye Yuan smiled and put away the talisman, and then searched in his thunder fairy hammer for a while, and finally found a set of protective clothes. Seventh sister, this is the protective clothing my mother wore in this spiritual world. Don't dislike it. You are only in the nascent soul stage. Although your body has been tempered by my thunder immortal hammer, it is still cold. This protective clothing can resist fire and ice, which will be helpful to you. Thank you, Brother Yuan. Sun Qiniang happily took it, and then casually pinched a spell, and a white dress was immediately put on Sun Qiniang's body. Very well matched. Not bad, not bad, it has some heroic appearance of my mother. Unfortunately, my mother doesn't use a sword. Ye Yuan clapped his hands and said, Seventh sister, don't say that Brother Yuan drove you away. The polar day is almost over, and it will soon be the polar night. During the polar night, ice monsters will come ashore in the ice sea, so you should leave quickly. Otherwise, you will have to wait for half a year. Then Brother Yuan, I will leave. Go, go, go quickly. If you want to come back, activate the soul seal you left on this talisman. Ye Yuan said, holding the teleportation talisman in one hand and pointing with the other. Brother Yuan, see you later. Seventh sister, take care. Ye Yuan also bowed, then looked at the chaos sword, thought for a while and said, "Seventh sister, this sword is extraordinary, even I can't see through it. If you want to use it, you still have to be careful." Seventh sister knows, thank you for reminding me, brother Yuan. Sun Qinyang looked up at the sky, the sun was already setting, and she quickly took a sword step and ran towards the south. The cold wind had risen, gradually becoming biting, but with this protective clothing, Sun Qinyang didn't feel any impact, thinking in her heart, brother Yuan is extraordinary, I can live without worries if I stay with him, but can he protect me for a lifetime? Just like the two brothers who always protected me, but were later attacked by Zhu Yun. Thinking of this, Sun Qinyang couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Why was Zhu Yun's sword lost in the spirit world? Where is he now? Is he in danger? With such concerns, Sun Qinyang's beautiful face was reflected in the sunset glow. She threw the wind and thunder sword out and then stepped on it. Flying the sword.